Okay, you want to have a standard English accent, but you don't know whether your accent is standard. So how do you determine? Hi, I'm Wei. I'm going to tell you how to know whether your accent is standard. Before we start, we need to get rid of some common incorrect methods. Let's see if you've tried any one of these. The first common incorrect method is asking a random person to evaluate your English accent. This is very commonly seen. People like to find a random friend, a random classmate, or a random parent to ask them to evaluate their English accent. I don't have to explain much. These people have little to no knowledge of English accents. So, what makes you think that asking them to evaluate is a good idea? They don't have a standard on how to evaluate your English accent, so please don't ask a random person to evaluate your accent. The second common incorrect method is asking a random English teacher. Wait. Why not? Teachers are professional. Aren't English teachers supposed to be good at English? Maybe, but that's not the main point. Do you think most English teachers you encounter have a standard English accent? If you think yes, then how do you evaluate them? By your sixth sense? So it's a bit risky to ask a random English teacher to evaluate your English accent. And I'm going to tell you, honestly, most English teachers in non-English speaking countries don't have a standard English accent, so it's better to find another safer method. The last common incorrect method is using mobile apps to evaluate your English accent. I know some mobile apps can help you evaluate your pronunciation, but it's believed that they cannot evaluate your accent. Why, you may ask? First, it's because accents are not just pronunciation. It includes other factors too. Second, it's because, unlike in Chinese, there are a lot of length differences, weight differences, and linking rules between different syllables in English. So, in normal English speech, the pronunciation of certain words will be affected, which may sometimes differ from the original pronunciation. Yes, all these rules are explainable, but not many know all of these rules, so I doubt the developers of the apps inserted all these rules in it, and I doubt that these apps are able to evaluate your English accent. It seems like I keep banning those commonly used methods. Do I have any suggestions on how to correctly do it? Yes. The first method is to simply just ask an English native speaker. Because if your accent sounds rusty, native speakers will be able to hear it out. For example, if you're a Chinese native speaker, you should be able to tell whether a person has a good or bad accent. However, native speakers may not be able to point out the significance, but at least they know something is off when it's off. So you don't have to ask them for recommendations since they may not know how to solve the problem. Just ask them if your English accent sounds like a native speaker's. The second method is to ask a person who studies phonology. Phonology is a study that focuses on how native speakers speak. So a person with good phonological knowledge has the ability to tell whether an accent is good or bad. The main difference between a person who studies phonology and a native speaker is that a person who studies phonology has the ability to point out what is wrong with and how to correct your accent. So if you have a choice, it's better to choose a person who studies phonology. The only drawback is that it's harder to find a person who studies phonology. But do you know what method is even better? It's to learn phonological knowledge yourself. If you've acquired phonological knowledge, you won't have to rely on other people to evaluate yourself or even practice. So you can save a lot of time. However, learning phonological knowledge isn't something that can be easily done. You have to put in some effort, and it's better to have a teacher to guide you before you acquire the knowledge. But I believe it's worth it. Now let me remind you of the 3 common incorrect methods of evaluating your English accent. Number 1, asking a random person to evaluate your English accent. Number 2, asking a random English teacher. Number 3, using mobile apps to evaluate your English accent. Now let's review the 3 useful methods for evaluating your English accent. Number 1, simply just ask an English native speaker. Number 2, ask a person who studies phonology. Number 3, learn phonological knowledge yourself. Before we end, could you tell me which method you are using right now? Tell me in the comment section below. In addition, if you want to acquire a standard English accent as soon as possible, click the link in the description below to get a free gift. This video ends here. See ya.